Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another session, a 12 o'clock session. For those of you who have been with us all morning, thank you for staying. And for those of you who are just joining for the evening sessions, we welcome, welcome, welcome you. Come on in and get some of this impressive knowledge we're about to get from Claudette Vanravenstein. She is going to be telling us about increasing student engagement and participation in the virtual classroom. We also have our co-host in the background, Miss Pat Vick. Miss Vick is going to be grabbing those questions in the chat. So if you got any questions, drop them in the chat. She's going to grab those questions, get them to me so we can ask Ms. Van Ravenstein the awesome questions you have, and she will do her best to assist you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I promise you, you are going to be shocked at the information and the resources, the amount of resources she is going to give you. So, again, this is increasing student engagement and participation in the virtual classroom. Turn it over to you, Ms. Claudette Van Ravenstein.
Thanks so much, Hosea, for the nice introduction. And I guess it's official now. Good afternoon. Okay, everybody. I am truly excited to be here with you guys at the 10th anniversary of the TCCA conference. It is an amazing special anniversary, I think, for them because we have over 4,000 attendees. That's what we were told, and over 22 countries attending. So that is mind blowing. I am truly excited here. And I'm excited that because in one hand, yes, it's not nice that we have COVID, but we can go virtual now. So many more of you can join. So anyways, I hope today that I will be able to give you some great strategies and ideas to help combat the challenges you're facing in your classroom with student participation and student engagement. So let's open the door to some great learning this morning. In the next slide, I want to give you a heads up. You will be asked to guess which door you think the ball will go through. So just put your answer in the chat for us.
That's right, guys. So if you're watching right now, go ahead and type in the chat where you think that ball's going to go. Door 1, 2, 3, or 4. Again, in the chat. What do you think that ball's going to go? Door 1, 2, 3, or 4. Drop in the chat. Let's see who gets it right.
If we have some people guess it right.
Absolutely. We've got Gina Costin got it right, and Tara Lawkins got it right. Doris Curry. We got Miss Chavez. She got it correct. We got Heather McNeil. Tons of people picked number 4 on this session. Yeah,
Awesome.
last session it was kind of iffy, but these guys here, they most of them picked number 4. So outstanding job.
Awesome. That is great to hear. So now that the door has officially been opened, let's get going. All right. So just a couple of household items. Use the chat as your back channel and to ask questions. Hosea and Pat will be monitoring. So please feel free to put your comments in there. The presentation will be uploaded to Sched later on. I do have a link for you to my presentation right now in the digital handout anyway. So you'll get the link anyways. But I'm just letting you know that it will be in Sched as well. As I want to probably update it with some of the great ideas you guys are sharing here with me today as well. The presentation is being recorded and will be available on this TCCA YouTube channel. I've given them permission to keep it up there. So as long as they keep me up there, you have access. And the last one is a digital handout. This is optional, and Hosea will be putting the link in the chat for you right now. I also have a QR code that links to it. It will force you to make a copy. And it's just me. Like I personally like to take notes alongside. I tried to put as much information as I could in there as well. It's a little bit like a guided note, not completely, but I hope you find it useful. If not, no worries. It's again optional to use. And as I said, this will be a little bit of a fast-paced session due to lots of information I want to share. I did put as much as I could on my slides. So yes, visually they're looking a little bit cluttered, but on the other hand, I wanted you to have something to go back to and reference later. So Um, just to make sure we're all on the same page, this is what I'll be covering today. We'll be looking at how to boost attendance and participation in virtual class meetings, how to increase engagement through community building, and how to increase student collaboration in a synchronous and asynchronous classroom. And all of this, of course, we do with the ultimate goal in mind of increasing student learning. So, you guys may have personally I've heard of others, of teachers that have had these struggles, these challenges in their classrooms. And so some of them could be related to low attendance, whether, students are just not um, wanting to come to your class because they don't want to show or admit that they actually need help, right? Just the peer pressure sometimes is there. Another reason would be maybe that they just don't want to attend, and this has nothing to do with the fact that maybe something else is going on at home or they have a technology barrier. They just don't want to attend, and then they don't think it has value. Like, no, it's not worth their time, basically. And another one, when it comes to low engagement, could be like, you're doing something, you're asking for a question, and you have hardly any responses, whether it's, live in a virtual session or whether it's asynchronous, right? You just don't hear anything back, like the crickets moment, so to speak. Um, Another thing would be that they're just there because it's out of compliance, because they were told that their grades would be dependent on their attendance. And another one would be, again, that they're just not interested in the topic. So if you've actually had any of these challenges and you feel brave enough to share with your colleagues, or if you have any other challenges, please share that in the chat. I know that, regardless whether it's low attendance or low engagement, it does feel discouraging to the teacher or to the presenter, right? But please know that you're not the only one, right? So definitely know you're not in it. We're in it together. I mean, you're not alone. Okay. So thanks for sharing. I see some people sharing. So thank you for being so brave enough to share. So just how are we gonna tackle these challenges in a synchronous and asynchronous or even a hybrid environment? And just to make sure we're all on the same page, I just went ahead and defined them again here so that when I use these words, that you know what I'm talking about. So when we're looking at a synchronous world, right? How do you want to build that engagement and participation? So when you're in this setting, and this is whether you're live, face to face, or whether you're doing a live Zoom session, you want to make sure that you have active participation. You want to be able, if you're doing a Zoom session or a conference call session, you want to make sure that you dissolve the screen, right? That it's not just a sit and get session for them, and that you really are interacting with them. It feels more natural, right? And then finally, you want to create a community invested in learning, and that's going to only happen by building relationships with your students, right? So, and with an asynchronous world, you want to have still be interactive with the learning, right? Yes, they're not face to face, they're not live with you, but you still want them to be interacting with the learning. You still want to keep on building those relationships and dissolving the screen. But most importantly, you want also dissolve the boundary between both your synchronous and asynchronous students so you can create that cohesive classroom. So, starting with like how to increase that attendance, engagement, participation, and collaboration. This is based from a blog post from Dr. John Spencer. If you're not familiar with him, I highly recommend you Google him and follow him. He has some great things coming out almost every week. But when you do have sessions, invite specific students by sending them a personal message, right? So it could be something like, hey, I could really use your participation tomorrow. Can you please attend? Or if you know that they need maybe a little bit more support on a certain topic or area or an assignment, you could say, it's not required to attend tomorrow, but I would love for you to show up to our meeting tomorrow. I'll be reteaching it. Or simply for the ones that you just have not been seeing because they're asynchronous all the time, it's kind of like, I really miss seeing you. I would love to see your face, right? So make it personal, send that personal message to them, whether by email or if you have the ability to send them a one-on-one, just go ahead and do that. And then we've all had office hours where the turnout hasn't been that great, right? And you're just sitting there, just waiting because that's been your office hours. So maybe make them more specifically focused. Start by saying maybe like, hey, on Tuesdays, we will be reviewing problems 1 through 5, right? And when you say reviewing, you can say to kids like, hey, if you need a little bit more assistance, or actually if you want to come and check it whether you're on the right track. Again, building up that habit of feedback, of learning, right? So that students can come back. And then you can say, and on Thursday, we'll do problems 6 through 10. So again, giving it a focus will make it also make kids realize like, okay, it's worth it for me to go to that specific office hours in just instead of in general and sitting through some problems that maybe are not relevant to my learning right now. So um, and instead of sometimes just tweaking the words, right? Instead of saying this is going to be a help session, maybe say like this is going to be a feedback session. This is where you can get feedback from myself or from your peers. Again, there's always room for growth and room for improvement. So kind of creating that mindset and just using the word feedback versus help so that you don't have that impression from students like, oh, only the kids that are coming here are the ones that are needing help, right? um, um, Kind of battle that stigma. And then um, for number 4, again, if you see that your participation or engagement is really low in your class, just be open and ask for feedback. Ask for your participants to give you feedback. And I would recommend you do that through a survey, especially anonymous survey. That would be the best, right? You get the most honest feedback, and that's what you need to be able to hear. Because only when we get feedback, that's how we can improve, right? So, and then again, it is so important with all the stress that's going on right now. It is really great to sometimes show that learning can be fun and being together. Yes, it's great. And also build up these social connections with each other's, right? So definitely make time and don't just only focus on academics and academics, right? And then choice. Who doesn't like choice? We all love choice. But the nice thing about choice is that, first of all, yes, you get more control of your learning, but you also feel more empowered, right? Because now you get to make the choice. So that's awesome. And then again, building that community feel, that sense of belonging, that is so important. Kids will come back to a place where they feel they belong. Okay, so this is really by doing again those interactive and collaborative activities that definitely helps. And then the last tip that I want to share is really like make sure that your meeting times are and your procedures are consistent, right? In this world, in any world of chaos and all that stuff, it always is very comforting to know you have something consistent to fall back on. Okay. And just another tip that I wanted to give for those of you that have students that are staying online the whole time, just make sure that you really, really keep track of those students and make sure that you have connected with them. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. I know time is a commodity these days, but just a simple like one-liner email or instant message, if that's the way you can communicate with your kids, like, hey, I've missed you. How are you doing? Or if you know that, they had something going on with a cat, or how's your cat doing, or something personal that connects. But just keep extra track of those kiddos. Alrighty, so as I said again, building up that community, that social time is so important, right? And you want to do that first of all by creating activities that do that, but also by dissolving the screen. So I think we started out this session with Hosea, when he was calling out those answers, he could have easily said like, yeah, I see fours, I see a couple of people putting fours, but by calling out the names of people who put it in, it really connected, right? I mean, who doesn't like to hear their name, right? We all do. We all like to see our name and hear our name. So that's another way you can definitely do that. If you are creating videos, again, you can still do that. You can still mention like, oh, I loved how Lisa had this comment the other day about this part of our lesson, blah 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 blah. Again, calling out those names is really trying to dissolve the screen, right? So trying to connect. So on this one, yes, I have a lot of stuff on here, and I invite you to peruse it at your own. And I won't unfortunately be able to go through all of them, but I'm just gonna highlight a couple. So, skipping over to the area that says lunch, brunch, coffee chat, playing games in Google Sheets, right? So, when you click on that link, it brings you to this. So, maybe for those of you that have a block, where you want to take in a break, because we all need a break, we all know the brain can only take so much. For actually, they recommend 20 minutes before you have to take a break. Um, so playing games. So as you saw, that this has been created. I believe it was from. I want to say it was Alex Keeler, but I'm not sure. I know I got it from somewhere, and I will definitely find out where I got it from. But just playing games. So just giving this to students. It's a simple Google slide. They can go ahead and they can play all these different kinds of games that I'm showing here. So again, you can go ahead. This was shared freely on the internet by someone. That's a great way to kind of build up that social aspect and collaboration with kids, right? Another source that I want to share is Kid Power. If you are not familiar with Kid Power, it's from UNICEF and it's a free, yes, I say free, dance, yoga, and activity video platform to help students feel energized and empowered. And classes can move to these videos for brain breaks, which is really good for kids to do, as I said again, right? But also, what the nice part is, what I really like about it, is that classes, when they watched videos, they earn points towards RUTFs, and those are like high protein bars. And when they've gathered enough points, then these bars will actually be donated to malnourished kids worldwide. So this is an amazing way for kids, no matter their age, K and up or pre-K and up, if you have pre-K, to do something good for other kids. So that's really great. So definitely recommend you check that out. And as I said, it is free. Another one that I wanted to show and that I will highlight in the next slide is how to draw videos on how you can actually do some fun activities. But one that is on the bottom of my screen that you see, it's called Emoji Stories. That one is using the different little emojis. You can put a couple up and then ask the kids to write either a response, a prompt, or something funny, a little story about it. Again, that's a quick activity you can do at in between or as a warm up, whatever you chose. So for hooks, though, for getting kids started and coming to your class, these are some ideas that I wanted to share with you. So on YouTube, as I was mentioning, there's a whole series that's called Draw Together, and they're really fun short videos. They're I think maybe the longest one is about maybe 10 minutes long, and that's where you can learn how to draw these things. I'm not a great artist, so this I think is fabulous, but it's fun. And again, it really breaks it down in easy to do steps for any level. So that is a great way. And if you're doing like, depending on your subject, you can use it as a great way to introduce your unit, right? So this is obviously more geared towards science. So, but even if you cannot find a video, you can always come up with great ideas. So, for instance, for math, you could have them draw a pie with slices and then to discuss fractions, right? For ELA, they can do a plot diagram, and they can, for social studies, you can draw a map with geographical features, on and on. For LOAD, even for people, that LOAD stands for language other than English. That is, you can even have them draw the word when you've pronounced it in a foreign language. So that's really good. So another hook would be here, double trouble. So I don't know if people want to guess it in the chat. So the missing letters are double letters. So in any order. But anybody want to give a guess what this is on the best part of waking up?
So if you know that answer, let's see. You drop it in the chat. What do you think the answer is to that question she just posed? Double letter, best part of waking up. Let's see what we get. All right, we got Miss Curry says coffee.
Uh-huh.
Kretzer says coffee. Joseph Stewart
Awesome.
says coffee. These guys are on fire.
Ooh,
Somebody says Folgers in your cup. Teresa,
I know. And
Donna
while you guys
Simon.
are guessing, can you guys guess the wacky word that's in the black square?
What about the word in the black square, guys? What about the word that's missing in that one? You can go ahead and drop that in the chat as well. Is that okay, Miss Van Ravenstein?
Yes. Let them put it in the chat, please.
So go ahead and put that in the chat in the black square. What word do you believe it's missing in that black square? All right, Erica Barrera, love at first sight.
Awesome, Erica.
Outstanding. Y'all are quick.
You guys are good. You're good. You're good.
Felicia
Um,
Johnson, love at first sight. Miss Crawford, love at first sight. Outstanding.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you all. That's great. And just Google wacky words and you will find tons of these pop up. Okay. I think it's hyperlinked in my presentation as well. So cool. Um, so another way to break up your pace during a live session is to do breakout rooms, right? And while many of you are probably already familiar with these, these are just some tips from having done them myself. And so like, oh gosh, I wish I had thought about them. So I wanted to share them real quickly with you. Okay. So if you have the opportunity on your platform to set up your breakup list already ahead of time, then go ahead and do that. And you can, of course, break them up depending on what you want to do in your breakout rooms, right? It could be either by subject level or it could be by area that they need more support and or by, level, whatever. Now, if you don't have that option and you do not want to just do a random split in the breakout rooms, you can do renaming. You can ask each participant to go ahead and rename themselves. And so you will tell them like, I want you to put a 1 if you guys are all ELA teachers. I want you to put a 2 if you're math, 3 social studies, etc. Right? And so then when the person who is doing the breakout rooms then can easily see like, oh, everybody's name who starts with a 1, boom, 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 all in breakout room 1. The ones that start with 2, boom, 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 all in 2, etc. So you kind of get it. It's a real quick, easy way. It was a nice tip that was shared with me. Then other things to also be mindful of is that before you send off people into their breakout rooms, is that you really explain the expectations clearly to them on what they're supposed to do there. Tell them how long they will be in there. And then you can also tell them maybe if you want, like, I want you guys to have the following roles: facilitator, timekeeper, recorder, that's the note taker basically, and reporter, which is the person that will share out back once everybody's back together in the main room, like what that group discussed or learned. And then also you may want to give them directions on like who's going to start speaking first. So you could say like whoever's first name starts first in the alphabet goes first, and then that person will then name the next person to talk. So again, there's not wasted time when they're in the breakout room, right? Okay. Another thing to think about is that once you've asked them to do something, a task, or you've posted a question for them to go discuss, make sure that it's still visible for them when they're in the breakout room, because when you display it to them and then you send them to the breakout room, sometimes people forget. Or, if they weren't paying attention, then they can kind of see again what's going on. So again, having that available either in the chat, because usually you can still see the chat if you're on any of these platforms, or maybe having it on the form that's been shared with them so they can still see it. Think of those things, those logistics as well. Okay. And I shared some other ideas here on the slide, like you could use a whiteboard or Padlet, for those of you familiar with those, you can utilize that. And then for activities, I've listed some ideas here, but I would love to get some other ideas too that you guys have used in your classroom settings that have been successful using breakout rooms. Let's share and learn from each other and get more ideas. And Hosea, if you want to go ahead and see if there are some great ideas being shared, and also this would be maybe a good time to address some questions.
Yes, so at this time, we really need your help right now, okay? I am looking at 125 people plus in the chat. So we have 44 states in this chat right now in 22 different countries, okay? So at this time, I want you to put in the chat your idea for breakout sessions. You will be literally helping out everyone across the country and the world right now. So, whatever ideas you have for breakout sessions, go ahead and drop it in the chat right now, and let's see what we get.
Sharing is caring.
Yes, share with the world. Also, If you have any questions that you would like to ask at this time, go ahead and post that in the chat as well. Miss Vic is in the background and she is grabbing those questions, and that way we can ask them toward the latter end of the session. So, again, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop those in right now. But don't forget to please drop your breakout room ideas for us and share with the world at this time.
Ooh, I am seeing some doing group projects. Yes, definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Murta.
We've got Miss Chavez. She says social, emotional, and learning for breakout rooms. We have Mr.
Yes,
Rogers, PLC, small groups.
awesome.
Oh, wow. Break out other countries 2 times a week for foreign languages. Then presentation on Friday from Teresa. Outstanding.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, Teresa. Oh, I like that idea from Miss Bert about grouping by birthday season.
Oh, that is outstanding. Yes, group by birthday season. That's a great one.
You have great ideas, and I will definitely go back in the chats later on and see if I can grab some of them and add them to my presentation. Because as I said again, we're into crowdsourcing, right? And helping each other out. Thank you
And
all for sharing so much of your wonderful ideas. There are no questions right now, right? Am I correct?
at this time, no, but we're gathering those right now.
Okay, no, that's perfect.
Awesome.
We can address them towards the end.
Mhm.
Again, remember the key idea is we are all social beings. We should be distancing ourselves, right? But we still need to build connections with each other. And we need this more than ever. And so do our kids, our students, right? So, all right. So I wanted to kind of discuss with you some other ways of how to increase that interaction and participation, right? And I already talked about choice in their learning, right? Students are tired of doing the same old, same old. So one way would be to give them a complete, what's called a total choice menu. And what I mean with that is that you give them choice in the learning targets. Of course, you're being strategic on which learning targets you're putting out there because you looked at your data or you look, you know which learning targets your kids need more support in. So you put that out there, but you let them choose which ones they want to work on. Then again, you do the same with resources. Like which resources would you want to use when they've picked a certain learning target? You give them choices again on how they want to learn the material, right? And then product, how do they want to show their mastery of learning the information. So again, this is what's called a total choice menu. It's a little bit different from the more traditional choice menus, where usually those choice menus give them kids a choice in product and how they've shown where they can show what they've learned, right? So again, this is really a great way to give kids choice. So here I have some examples on how you can be sharing those choices to students. So if you click here on the main one that says here about choice menus, if you're not familiar with Shake Up Learning, Casey Bell with Shake Up Learning, she is amazing. She's another amazing educator I follow and get a lot of ideas from. But if you scroll down to the bottom of this post, you can actually see um, how do you say that? You can see some templates that she has out there, and usually she shares them as well, and she also will highlight some other amazing educators that have shared their things, their products on there. So, anyways, I'll let you peruse that on your own time, but just wanted you to know that it's there. Um, then I also wanted to share you can do that through a website. That's another idea. So this is a website we did in my district. This was over the summer for the kids, so it's definitely is more focused on fun enrichment activities. But what we were mindful of, though, that I wanted to highlight is that we also did what's called unplugged activities. Those are activities that are away from the computer, right? We don't want these kids, especially the ones that are staying at home online. We don't want them to be on the computer the whole time. Okay. Another example is like hyperdocs, and I will say hyperdocs are a subgroup, so to speak, of choice menus, is in that they are focused on the same learning target. So they just have different resources that kids can choose from, so they can still achieve mastery in that particular learning standard or learning target. Um, I highly recommend you check them out too. They have a free course you can take if you're familiar, if you're new to the world of hyperdocs, because it's not the same as a linked document. You know, a document that just has a bunch of links in there. So I do want to make sure I stress that. I will put in the link, and I realized when I did my first presentation that I did not have the link to the free course on their website. I will put that in later on. So just check the presentation back later on. Okay. And then last thing I wanted to share on this particular slide was in my system again, after the kids had picked a choice, we wanted them to actually reflect on it and tell us and share with us what they had learned, why they picked it, and whether it was a good choice. So this is just an example of that that I wanted to share. I'm not going to spend much time on it, but really, we really wanted to build up that habit of reflection, right, in our students, and that's why we did that. All righty. So when you are offering choice, I also would like for you to consider not only choice in like what they can do, but also in how they can show that they've done their learning. And that's especially for choice in products, right? So to be really mindful of, access. We all know access. That we make sure that or that kids also don't stay behind the computer all the time. So I just wanted to put that out there. So to really think about when you do offer choice in products, that you think about no tech, low tech, and high tech versions. Okay, so that's something that I just kind of wanted to put out there. So and again, by giving choice to students, you are actually honoring their agency as a learner, right? You're really making them feel empowered about their learning. So, so here we come to the section that I like a lot. Excuse me, I had to take a quick hydrating sip here. As you can tell, my voice is starting to get a little bit croaky, so I apologize. Um, these are activities that I think work beautifully for both asynchronous and synchronous students. And when I say synchronous, I do mean like sometimes students that you see face to face, as well as students that are live with you on a Zoom session. So again, as I said, it's important at least in my system, we are offering both options where students can come face to face in the classroom as well as stay online. And then online, they have the same option to join live sessions or work asynchronously. So it's really so important to also create that cohesiveness in your classroom, right? Especially, I think it's more important now when we started the new school year, because when we went in lockdown in the spring, you already knew your students, they had already been with you and all that stuff. But a lot of, or actually, most of us are starting this new year with a new set of students, right? So again, you need to create that connection and relationship with them. So doing these activities, I think many of them here are very well suited for that, because you could release them and do them with your kids. Of course, when they're synchronous with you, you could do them, but you could put a deadline, and that way the asynchronous kiddos could still join in and do the same activities with you. So one would be, for instance, like a simple form of doing this is would be doing a Google Classroom, right? A shared Google Classroom document. And again, you could assign a color to each group, right? And that group could have asynchronous and synchronous students. All you would have to do is make sure that the asynchronous students knew that they have to put in their work by a certain time, and then their group mates could respond back and forth. And there's ways that they could keep on communicating with each other, whether it's through their LMS or whether it's through whatever communication tool you set up, or your Google Classrooms, things like that. So that would be a very simple way on how they would be able to collaborate, right? Another way would be with what's called Jigsaw. So Jigsaw is, for those of you that are not familiar with it, I'll go ahead and explain it real briefly. It's like when you have a big piece of content that you want to students to learn, and you chunk it up in smaller pieces, and you assign each little piece to a different group of students. Okay. And then each group of students is then responsible for consuming that, and then kind of picking out what the highlights are for the learning, and then put it down. In this case, you would ask them to put it down on a particular slide depending on their group number, right? And the nice thing is of doing it in one document versus asking everybody to do their own separate document is that come presentation time, remember it was originally one piece of content. So then when you have each group share out, it's all together in one presentation, and it's all together, and it will make for a smooth transition. Okay, so that's jigsaw. So you can still keep on doing that. It's something that's oftentimes done in face-to-face sessions, but you can see that this is still possible in the virtual world as well. And then when you look at show and tell, so that is where you can go ahead and share things. I will put a little caveat in here, is that sometimes we do like a share the best thing that happened this weekend, and to be mindful of that. And maybe not everybody may have had a great weekend, or how we sometimes say like, hey, share what was the best thing you did this summer, and we may not know necessarily how their summers were, they even were able to go on a trip or do something fun at all. So to be mindful of those, and to rather do show and tells more like, hey, can you share what was the best book you've ever read, or what was what is your favorite color and why, or your favorite song. You can find those things. You can have kids do share and tell. And an interactive way, I don't know if you guys seen some talk shows where they've done like, you got 30 seconds to go pick something blue, yellow, round and hard and soft, and and off they go and they come back. So that's also a fun quick activity to do. And then you have some students share out. And then virtual field trips is also obviously something you can do, and gallery walks. So I'm kind of skip over that. But then I kind of do want to highlight sketchnoting. If you're not familiar with sketchnoting, this link actually brings you to a video that shows how you can create like notes with partly words, drawings where you highlight things. And so I'm trying to show you an example right now on my screen. I fast forwarded, but you can watch it later on at your own. Oops, should have hit pause, right? Okay, so something, this is like sketchnoting. So that's something else that's really great activity to do again with your students. I would start low stakes. Don't do it on a difficult unit. Start with a simple unit. And then, if you need to build up a basic parts of a sketch note, you could do that together, and then do virtual gallery walk after that with your students, so they can see how others did. Because the nice thing is everybody's brain works a little bit different, so it's kind of nice to see what they've picked up. I think it's a really fun way to do. And again, if your drawing skills are not great, that's where the draw together videos might come in handy, right? Another one that I wanted to highlight is Polaroid notes, sorry. And I am so excited. They're actually here at TCCA. So I'll be going to their session. You can that for sure. And that's basically like a one pager, but it's just phenomenal. It's amazing to see. So this is what a Polaroid notes look like. And they're digital one pagers. So again, this is something really great you can do with your kids again. And it's about the content at the same time. So, hey, learning with fun. Then if you're not familiar with that, there are some platforms out there that actually have the audience, and so your students as well, interact with the presentation. If you do your lessons through any PowerPoint or presentation slides tool. So Peer Deck is one that's out there. Nearpod is another one. I believe Nearpod is here at the TCCA conference too. So, but these are really wonderful platforms where you can interact with you can have your audience interact with your presentation. And the nice thing is that you can either do it live. If you did live, you could have the interaction, but you can also put them in what's called a student self-paced mode. And so that's great for your asynchronous students. They can still have that interaction, even if they're going at it at their own time. So that's another wonderful way to kind of do collaborative things. And then, scavenger hunts, breakout games. Those are other one fun activities to do. And then another one I wanted to really bring to your attention in general is discussions, right? Discussions are really wonderful to have. And besides that, they help with presenting different points of view. So it helps kids open up their minds, right? They get exposed to different points of views. It also helps with if you have a well construed, a rigorous setup, good setup discussion, it can have an impact of up to 2 years of student growth. And that's amazing. Okay. And I'm not pulling that number out of my head. I'm actually getting that from John Hattie, who is, if you're not familiar with John Hattie, if you Google him, you will find him. He's a researcher who's done studies upon all the different learning strategies that are out there and the effect size they have on student learning, on student growth and outcome. And um, so for discussions, if you do well discussions, then you can have a growth up to 2 years, and that's amazing, right? But as I said again, it helps with opening up people's minds. It builds up collaboration skills. It increases empathy as well, and again, it also creates connections because sometimes when you have discussions, you learn something new about somebody else, and you go like, "Oh, we have that in common now." Or okay, I would like to push back a little bit on that. But again, teaching our kids also the good habits of discussions and how to have meaningful discussions. So just wanted to put that out there. And I am not associated with them at all, but this is Parlay. This is something we started using in my district that I wanted just to do pointed out here because it has been an amazing platform for us to use. We started using it actually last year, but this year is really the year that we've been pushing it out more. But I feel it's a wonderful platform that helps facilitate discussions, not only collecting data on it as well to see the impact of it, but also giving it a more equitable access by giving students like anonymous um, personas. So then that creates better discussions. We all know that, right? If we have anonymous discussions. So, all righty. So, in closing, I know we're teaching in very challenging times these days, but implementing some of these activities focuses on relationship building and interactions. And I think it will help you increase student engagement and participation in your classroom, whether it's virtual, face to face, or hybrid. Okay. I hope you found at least an idea or two here that you can use. If you found many, that's great. That's also great. But the key is not to overwhelm yourself and try everything mentioned here or at the whole amazing conference, right? It's better to start small and focus only on one or two. And remember, even the first time it might not go as you planned, but don't give up. Give yourself grace and try it again. Okay. The focus is of really creating an exciting and stimulating and an environment of belonging for your students that gives them agency over their own learning, and you will see amazing results will come from that, right? You want them to be really making sure that they will come back and enjoy learning with you. So that's what I wanted to share. I have some additional ideas to check out here for you. I did not have the chance to go over all of them. For those of you, I think I saw some GT people in here. If you are not familiar with Birdseed, but even if you're not GT, I think you should use it with all these kids. These are for free Birdseed apps. He has some fun activities that you can also utilize with your students and some other resources. But oops, wrong. I'm clicking on the wrong thing here. But this is for all of you educators out there. I think you guys are doing an amazing job. Keep your chin up. I know things are trying times, but we can do it. Yes, we're all in it together, but I think we can all do it. And you know, keep on doing what you're doing. If you wanted to connect with me, this is how you can connect with me. This is again a QR code directly to my presentation, but I think Jose already put the link in there for you guys in the chat. I think he put it just now again. So
Yes.
you have it. And as I said, I will be uploading it later on to Sked. Um, and I think we are getting to the end. I kind of went faster this time. That's awesome. Yes,
No,
we can.
perfect pacing. No, no, perfect pacing. But we did have a question. I'm not sure if you know about this particular piece of software. Someone wanted to ask about using a particular piece of software in a breakout room. And let me
Okay.
pull that up for you. Um, they want to know how can you use Spiro for breakout rooms, and I wasn't sure you were familiar with Spiro.
Spheros?
Yeah, for breakout
Oh,
rooms, is that possible to do? Or
oh. So spheros is are those little round robot balls
okay, okay,
that I've seen, and they're really fun. I have a BB-8 one. Sorry, that's my little alarm to tell me that my time is
okay,
up.
no problem.
So, what how I would use spheros probably is it's much more group project. So I would group kids that are working on the same project together in this breakout rooms, so they wouldn't be talking over each other. You know.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And that was the question that we had. And also, let me just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. You answered this question brilliantly on the first session. What about those teachers right now who are in that hybrid mode of students in class and students online, and they're teaching simultaneously with that live webcam coming into the classroom? They may have 5 kids in class and maybe 15 at home on the computer. Can you give a little bit of words of wisdom to help those hybrid teachers right now?
Yes, and those are that's the most challenging situation, right? When you have both things going on. So for those teachers, definitely what I would first of all do is make sure that you to dissolve those boundaries again that I'm talking about, right? So make sure you display the kids that are in your Zoom session on your projector screen or whatever you have, right? That would be one way. I also would make sure that I have a camera going out, or if you could use your own camera, have your camera going out into the classroom again so they can see their other classmates, right? So that again I think will help that. And then whenever you're doing some activities, I would for sure make sure that it's all a digital activity with a document. And again, you could use those collaborative documents that I shared before, where they could all be working together on a digital document, because then those kids could work together. It kind of takes away that barrier between being in face to face and on Zoom. But it also allows your asynchronous kids later on to come and join the conversation still.
Outstanding, outstanding, outstanding. So, guys, we have been given some jewels this hour. Okay, I dropped the handout link into the chat, and I'm going to do that one more time just in case.
And actually, I do have one more thing I wanted to share.
Please
So, for
share.
those of you that are doing videos, right, for your asynchronous kiddos, or for, yes, you usually do videos for your asynchronous, I would recommend you do it for your synchronous kiddos too, because you don't have to do it twice. So, that kind of could save you time too, right? Creating that video. When you create that video again to try to dissolve the screen, right, is to make sure that you kind of still do things like procedures or things that you do normally in your class. So, if you want kids to give you thumbs up after something you've given them an instruction, you could still say that on your video and say, like, everybody give me a thumbs up. And you say, like, awesome, I see several thumbs going up. I see a lot of thumbs going up. I mean, yes, you truly can't see that when you're videotaping. We all know that. But it does create more connection, right? When you're watching that, instead of you're just like, okay, I want you to do this and that and this. Let's go on. Right? So you kind of get it. I know I'm doing really extremes, but you get the gist. And or even referencing again somebody's else input from, you know, a couple of days ago, giving the names, dropping the names, definitely creates that connection. So, all righty. I believe people are asking for the famous secret word, Hosea.
Yeah, so if you've been watching for I've had it up for maybe the last 10 minutes right now. The super secret password to receive your certificate is the word tenacity. Also, if you just look at the screen right now, it should be at a banner at the bottom. So again, super secret password to receive your certificate is the word tenacity. It is case sensitive. We've been asked to. I wasn't sure about your presentation. People actually want your presentation.
So my presentation is actually linked in the digital handout.
Well, there you go. There you go. So go to the digital handout. It's linked to the
But
digital
I will
handout.
yeah, and I will upload it to Sket to people.
Yes.
Um, you know.
So she will upload it to Sked as well, and it is in the digital handout. So you got all you need. And I encourage you all to go back and watch this video again, especially when people are dropping the ideas of breakout rooms. Go in there and steal those ideas. Save yourself some time beating
Exactly.
your head up against the wall trying to figure out what to do for breakout rooms. We have people from 44 states in 22 different countries that have put in answers for your breakout rooms. Okay, guys? And so we want to thank Claudette Vanravenstein for another amazing session. We want to thank Ms. Vic in the background for pulling those questions for us.
Yeah.
And if there are no further questions, we will go ahead and end the session. And
Yeah.
please, please, please stay with us for the rest of the day because there's more great information and knowledge for you all coming
Yes.
in other sessions. Did you have anything else you'd like to say to them?
Nope. I just wanted to wish them a very great afternoon of continued learning. I will be there too, so hope to see some of you in some of the sessions.
And with that being said, if you are leaving us, the sessions, if you are leaving TCCA, just thank you for joining. Good golf, good tennis, whatever makes you happy. And also remember to wash those hands and social distance. Thank you so much for joining this session. And we cannot wait to see you in the next session or see you again next year. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.